Anyone who has been following the US-European relations will know that this is not new. The US has been having a grouse against the European Union, especially Germany and France, since the Obama years or even before. And European leaders have threatened to create a pan-European army in the past. Exactly 12 months ago, on the day of the US midterm election, French President Macron revived those threats. Merkel also called for a European army last November, as you just heard her speak. 1 year on, Macron is playing the bad cop. He says that NATO is suffering a brain death because of the unpredictability of the US under President Trump. The German Chancellor has tried to play this down.
French president has chosen drastic words. That is not my point of view regarding the cooperation within NATO. I think such a sweeping swipe is not necessary, even though we do have some problems and have to sort ourselves out.
The two leaders of the free world must have seen this coming. Even ever since Donald Trump, in fact, decided to run for president, the NATO has been on his hit list. Cut back to this comment made by Trump during his first meeting as US President with Angela Merkel. This was in 2017.
Many nations owe vast sums of money from past years, and it is very unfair to the United States. These nations must pay what they owe.
So has Trump forced the European Union to figure out their own defense? How much are the NATO allies contributing to their own security? Let's look at the numbers. As of 2017, the US accounted for more than 51% of NATO's combined GDP and more than 71% of its defense expenditure. That means the 28 members other than the US account for only 28% of the NATO defense bill. So the Americans do have a point. For 70 years, Europe has used the American security umbrella, and now when the US is asking them to pay, they're getting jittery. It's not like they cannot pay. Germany accounts for 10% of the total NATO GDP, but their defense contribution is less than 5%. Same story for France, Italy, UK, Canada, and Spain. 5 years ago, at the 2014 NATO summit in Wales, all the member nations agreed on a minimum of 2% of GDP on defense. And now in 2019, there are only 5 countries in Europe which are spending more than this limit. Ironically, the two major economies in Europe, France and Germany, spend below this limit. So you cannot blame the Americans when they ask Europe to pay up. It's not just defense. Many NATO countries have the trade balance against the US in their favor. Now, Trump is a protectionist president, an absolutely unpredictable one who prefers bilateral trade agreements and who has complete disdain for multilateralism. Plus, this is an election year, so any show of putting America's interests ahead will get Trump brownie points at home. There are more than 65,000 US personnel in Europe, and at the height of the Cold War, the US had stationed 4 lakh soldiers to protect Germany and France from the Soviet Union's threat. America has committed to providing missile defense systems to Europe. There is no question that the US has supported the European countries. And it's time for Europe to pull its weight now. They must bolster their own defense capabilities. France spends as much as Russia on its defense, but it wants the US to protect the European Union from the threat of Russia. Trump won't let this continue. It's not the duty of the US to protect Europe, and Europe is belatedly waking up to this.